My wife never saw me. Not really. She saw a version of me, tidy, predictable, safe. But I didn't realize just how little respect she had for that version until her company's Christmas party 6 months ago. My name is Jack. I'm 48 years old, a financial controller for a manufacturing company. My job isn't glamorous, but it's steady and has given me the means to build a solid, comfortable life over the last 2 decades. My wife, Rebecca, is 43. She works in pharmaceutical sales, fast-paced, high energy, with bonuses, fancy dinners, and a schedule full of conferences and retreats. We've been married for 11 years. No kids. That had been a sticking point early in our marriage. I wanted them. She didn't. I gave in, telling myself that love and partnership would be enough. That night, her holiday party was held at one of those ultra-modern downtown places. Industrial decor, cocktail names you can't pronounce, and prices to match. I prefer a quiet bar and a neat scotch. But I went because it mattered to her. I put on my best suit and smiled through the evening, chatting with her colleagues and making nice with the execs. Everything was going fine until around 10 o'clock, when I went looking for Rebecca, thinking she might need water or a bite to eat. She'd had more than a few of those overpriced cocktails. The restaurant had a mezzanine, and as I reached the top of the stairs, I heard her voice, loud, laughing, that specific kind of laugh she used when she wanted to charm people. She was surrounded by her co-workers, drink in hand, saying, "God, no, Jack would never do something that's spontaneous. He's literally the most boring man alive." I stopped in my tracks. I stayed hidden behind a tall plant and listened. Her tone was mocking, her impersonation of me disturbingly accurate. She mimicked my routines, my early morning runs, the protein shake I made daily, the same style of blue shirt I wore to work, even my Sunday night habit of updating our retirement spreadsheets while watching 60 Minutes. Her colleagues were in stitches. Then came the part that really gutted me. She leaned in as if sharing a secret and whispered about our sex life. Tuesdays and Saturdays, 3 positions in order. I've started calling it the Jack routine with my girlfriends. More laughter. Then someone asked about our vacation plans. Rebecca rolled her eyes. Bali? Never going to happen. Jack thinks international travel is inefficient. We go to the same beach house in South Carolina every year. Same week, same restaurants, same boring everything. Why do you stay with him? A young guy from marketing asked. She shrugged. Security, I guess. Jack's boring, but he's stable and rich. He'll have us retired in 5 years. I just have to survive until then. They moved on to other topics, but I'd heard everything I needed. I walked back downstairs and ordered a double scotch. I didn't confront her that night or the next. I didn't change a thing about how I acted. I maintained every routine she had so smugly described, all while quietly deciding what to do next. Because if there's one thing people like me know how to do, it's plan. 3 weeks later, Rebecca announced she'd made President's Club again. That meant a reward trip, this time to Monaco. Spouses weren't invited. You'd hate it anyway, she said, patting my cheek. It's all parties and schmoozing. Not your thing. Probably right, I said with a smile. When is it? February 12th to the 19th. Congratulations, I told her. You earned it. While she was on yachts and sipping champagne, I got to work. I'd already met with an attorney, Henley, one of the best in the city. Told him everything, right down to the timeline. The paperwork was ready. At the same time, I'd been working with a realtor, Lisa, a friend from college, quietly touring homes. I found a beautiful craftsman on 3 acres outside the city. Quiet, private, mine. I closed on it the same day Rebecca boarded her flight to Monaco. She'd always known everything about our shared finances, what I made, what we spent, what we saved. What she didn't know about, because she never asked, was the inheritance I received from my uncle 5 years ago. 7 figures. Invested wisely. Growing steadily. I kept it separate, thinking it might be a surprise one day. Something I could use to give us that early retirement she fantasized about. Now, it would serve a different purpose. While she posted filtered sunsets and overpriced wine tastings, I moved my most important possessions into the new house. Things with meaning. Family heirlooms, photo albums, my grandfather's watches. When she returned, she barely asked about my week. Life returned to normal. Then, last month, she came home beaming. Her company was transferring her to Boston, double the salary, a big promotion. I've known for a little while, she admitted. I didn't want to jinx it. We have to move fast. She showed me listings for houses in Concord, quaint colonial style, dripping in New England charm. One in particular, $1.7 million. It's over budget, but if we use all our savings for down payment, and with both our salaries, it's doable, she said. She'd already contacted an agent to tour the property that weekend. She looked at me expectantly. What do you think? I played along, studied the photos, nodded thoughtfully. She added, I know you hate change, but we can't drag this out. We gotta act fast. You can find another controller job in Boston, or maybe just take some time off. We'll be fine on my income until then. I asked for a night to think about it. She rolled her eyes. Jack, you always overthink everything. Just take the leap. I'll sleep on it, I said with a smile. The next evening, I suggested opening a special bottle of wine with dinner, one we'd been saving. She was clearly surprised, but didn't question it. We sat at our dining table, the one I'd spent hours refinishing early in our marriage. She raised her glass. To Boston, she said. I raised mine. To leaps of faith. Exactly, she said, her eyes lighting up. That's what I want to talk to you about, I said, setting an envelope on the table. She looked at it, confused. What's this? My leap, I said. Divorce papers. Already filed. She stared at me, blinking. This isn't funny. It's not a joke, I replied calmly, sipping my wine. I heard everything you said at your Christmas party. Every word. Her expression crumpled, a silent realization crashing in. She opened her mouth, then closed it. I bought a new house, I continued. I'll be moving there. You can keep this one if you want, though I'd advise getting your own realtor. You'll need to refinance it on your income. She didn't say anything. I may be boring, I added, but I'm not stupid, and I'm not your safety net anymore. That bottle of wine was excellent, worth the wait, just like this moment. Jack took a deep breath and looked at Rebecca. I was drunk, she said, again nervously laughing. It was stupid office talk. He didn't flinch. No, Rebecca, I don't think it was. I think it was the most honest you've been in years. Her shock gave way to anger. So what? This is revenge because I hurt your feelings? You're throwing away 11 years over some tipsy gossip. No, Jack said calmly. I'm setting us both free from a marriage that clearly doesn't make you happy. You were right about one thing. Life's too short to settle. Rebecca's defiance faltered. She reached for the envelope on the table, ripped it open, and scanned the documents inside. Her eyes widened when she saw the financial details. Where did this money come from? These accounts? And what about our savings, the joint investments? My uncle's inheritance. Jack nodded. I never spent it, just quietly invested it. As for the joint savings, I left them untouched. Your half is still there for your new beginning in Boston. But the house, she said, her voice growing quiet. The one in Concord. I can't afford that on my own. I'm sure you'll find something that fits, especially with that promotion you're taking. He reached into his pocket and placed a set of keys beside the divorce papers. She stared at them. What are these for? A parting gift, he replied. The Mercedes convertible you've been eyeing all year. It's fully paid off and in your name. Figured you deserved something for putting up with your boring husband all these years. Rebecca's composure finally cracked. Tears slid down her cheeks as their marriage unraveled right there in front of her. Where will you live? She asked, barely audible. Jack pulled out his phone and showed her photos, his new home, a craftsman-style house nestled on 3 acres, complete with a gourmet kitchen and a wraparound porch overlooking the mountains. You bought this without telling me, she whispered. I closed on it while you were in Monaco, he replied. Turns out I'm not quite as predictable as you thought. Jack stood, straightening his shirt. I'll be moving in tonight. My attorney will handle the rest of the communication. If anything urgent comes up regarding the divorce, you can email me. He was nearly out the door when her voice stopped him. Jack, I'm sorry. We can fix this therapy, counseling, something. I didn't mean what I said. He turned back to her one last time. That's the thing, Rebecca. I think you did. And that's okay. We just want different things. You think I'm boring. I think you're unkind. Neither of us is wrong. We're just wrong for each other. Then he walked out of the house they once shared, climbed into his modest SUV, and drove off, not toward bitterness, but toward a future that, for the first time in years, felt like it might actually belong to him. Some people might call what he did extreme. But after over a decade with someone who secretly mocked his life, his choices, and their shared story, Jack decided he deserved more. So, did she? Rebecca was headed to Boston to chase her career without the man she'd grown to resent. And Jack, he was embracing the unexpected joy of rediscovering who he really was. 2 weeks later, the dust was settling. Rebecca had moved out the previous weekend, staying with her sister until the move. She tried to return the Mercedes, saying it felt wrong to accept it. Jack told her to keep it. He didn't need it. Despite everything, he harbored no hatred. She had tried to reconcile it first. Anger came first. How could he blindside her like that? Then bargaining. She'd give up the job. They'd go to counseling. She'd never take him for granted again. But eventually, resignation arrived, quiet and tearful. His decision was final. The most telling moment came when her sister helped pack the kitchen. Jack overheard her asking, "Did you really say those things about him?" And Rebecca's soft reply, "Not exactly like that, but yes." At least now she was being honest. That was something. The divorce was moving forward peacefully. They were each walking away with what they brought in and a fair share of what they built together. No alimony. A clean break. The house sold quickly, well over asking price, which gave Rebecca a comfortable cushion for her next chapter. Jack didn't gloat. 11 years meant something, even if the ending stung. He began building something new. A telescope on the deck led to joining a local astronomy club. He started taking cooking classes and joined a hiking group. Small things, but they mattered. He reconnected with old friends. One of them said something that stuck with him. That Jack had become boring and predictable, not because he was that way, but because he'd slowly retreated into himself, trying to avoid Rebecca's constant criticisms. It stung, but it rang true. When they first met, Jack was training for a triathlon, playing blues on the weekends, planning a solo hike through Patagonia. Over time, he dulled himself to fit into her world. Some of Rebecca's colleagues reached out too, apologizing for not speaking up that night. Apparently, her comments at the party made more people uncomfortable than she realized. Her boss even called Jack, asking if she declined the Boston job because they had reconciled. Jack explained they hadn't. Reading between the lines, it seemed the promotion might not have been as locked in as she'd made it sound. Life, it turned out, was full of surprises, even the so-called boring ones. 3 months later, the divorce was final. They met for coffee. Her idea, not his. It was civil, even kind. She'd accepted a job with a smaller pharmaceutical company nearby. Boston, she said, had lost its appeal after what she called a reality check. He wished her well and meant it. Meanwhile, Jack was still evolving. That telescope led to a consulting opportunity with a research foundation. He bought a guitar again. His fingers were rusty, but the music was coming back. He started running, not the rigid, measured run she used to scoff at, but trail running through the woods, just for the love of movement. He even took a solo trip to Iceland, with plans for Thailand in the fall. Turns out, he didn't dislike travel, just traveling with someone who made him feel small for doing it wrong. He had dated a little, nothing serious yet, and that was fine. He was learning to enjoy his own company, an unexpected gift from all this heartache. Rebecca texted one day after driving past their old beach house, said she felt nostalgic, asked if he missed their routines. He waited a day before replying. He wanted to be honest, but kind. Some routines were comforting, he finally wrote, but I don't miss being someone's disappointment. She never replied. Jack took it as a sign that he'd finally reached the quiet peace he'd been chasing. Not love, not hate, just indifference. Rebecca was no longer a weight on his shoulders. She was someone he used to know. To anyone else walking this road, he'd offer this. It gets better. The pain recedes. What remains is who you were always meant to be, before you started mistaking compromise for surrender. Jack may have once been called boring, but he'd never been more alive. The stars above him, the trails ahead in the world, waiting to be explored.